Hello again. One of the insidious myths, among many, of British society is that of social mobility. That other related falsehood, now virtually extinct, was meritocracy. Although there is still a vague, rapidly declining belief in social mobility, it seems to be going the way of meritocracy. Obviously, I'm not denying that some forms of social mobility exist. And remember that mobility can also be downward. The only realistic step to upwards people of my class will achieve is to the already swollen ranks of the lower middle class. This is usually due to some form of educational or vocational achievement, entrepreneurial talent, allied to a degree of persistence and sheer old fashioned good luck. But when it comes to the upper echelons of society here in the UK, we're ruled, controlled, exploited, dominated by the same clique that has performed this function for endless centuries in an unbroken cycle. These people are from privately educated, highly wealthy, privileged backgrounds. They are a caste apart. Theresa May and her recently appointed cabinet of power freaks will consider a nationwide reintroduction of grammar schools. This is supposedly to generate a degree of social mobility. Inevitably, this will mostly be from one part of the lower middle class to another, several rungs higher. But for the working class, the situation will remain a continuing slide downward. Our paths are blocked with increasing marginalisation, precurity, insecurity. The only social mobility we're experiencing is social cleansing. To us anarchists of the class struggle, class war persuasion, despite any minor improvements in our own individual circumstances, we certainly are no champions of the Tory and Labour ideas of social mobility. Of course, we don't accept our subordinate position in society or that of our class as a whole. We've no desire to see a tiny handful of working class people ascend to the lofty ranks of the ruling class. They will inevitably oppress us. What we fight for is nothing short of revolutionary upheaval, total change, destruction of capitalism, the state, and the system, promotion for the few. Social mobility, so called meritocracy, just doesn't come into the equation. We must all rise together in every aspect. That is the only realistic proposition for us, even though at this moment of time it may appear a distant prospect. But then, so does another Labour government. Despite this, along with the feelings of resignation, powerlessness, manufactured fear, there is an awareness that the tensions are accumulating. This state of affairs cannot continue indefinitely. Something has to give. All this is happening throughout the Western world and far beyond. Conditions over generations have improved for the majority. Yet the yawning chasm between the wealthy and powerful and the rest of us is expanding at an unprecedented pace. Many are still confused between the general standard of living rising and social mobility. They are not the same things. Behind everything exists a never ending sense of the reality of crisis. This, along with a feeling of exclusion, partly explains the unhealthy rise of right wing populism, the ultimate results of which are poison to our class solidarity. It merely leads to a perpetuation of rule by the elites. This whole Corbyn nonsense would have exactly the same result. Unless there is a genuine social revolutionary upheaval worldwide, here as well, we will spiral ever further into a third decade of 21st century dystopia. Naked ruling class dictatorship, eco disaster, religious fundamentalism, war and displacement. Therefore, all this guff and hogwash we're about to be subjected to concerning social mobility is meaningless, distracting propaganda and wishful thinking. Upward social mobility for the vast majority is but a hollow pipe dream. It's up to us who think differently from the prevailing order to get out into the streets and every other available space. while we still can, to demonstrate there is a possibility of total change and reconstruction of society from the bottom upwards. Social mobility just don't come into any of our solutions. It's another false promise that delivers nothing for the vast majority. Bye.